Hey everybody and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be taking a look at DCEASED Hope at World's End hardcover. Hey everybody and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host Brent and today we're going to be doing an overview of the DCEASED Hope at World's End hardcover. This just came out today. I got it from Amazon. Thank you for same day pre-order. And look at all these creators on here: Tom Taylor, Faia, Geddes, Locus. I don't know. Anyway, so here we go. This is DC's Hope at World's End. Well, Brent, didn't you just review and read and DCeased Dead Planet? Didn't that just come out in hardcover recently? Yes, it did. Didn't you also do a review of DCeased Unkillables? Yes, I did. Didn't last year you actually reread and do a review on DCeased, the first one? Yes, I did. So that makes this book number what, actually? Well, this makes this book number 4 of anything called DCeased in the last, 18 months or something like that. I think the hardcover came out in 2020, and then Unkillables came out, and then we had Dead Planet come out, and now this is number 4. So this is the release order of the hardcovers. So on your bookshelf, it might look like this in reverse, but what is nice, though, is that they all have this nice, like, foil wrap. I never noticed, actually, they do have a little icon at the top of it, so this is probably Superman. Unkillables, I'm not sure what that is. That's a skull. I'm not quite sure what that is. I gotta look at the cover. It's probably from one of the covers or something. But anyway, yeah, this is book number 4 of DCeased, and I really do like these hardcovers, even though they're not part of the Black Label line. There's no Black Label insignia anywhere on these. They're still violent as hell, and probably more suited for mature readers. So what is Hope at World's End, Brent? If you're not on Comixology, you may not know what the hell this is. Well, let me tell you, I'm not sure if they did single issues of these, and I'm looking through it, I'm not quite sure how they would have, because Hope at World's End was a digital only, at least until this came out, digital only web series of DC comic books. Now, if you're unfamiliar with DC's digital only strategy, I think most of the time, I'm not certain for sure, but I know Injustice did it this way, as did the Mortal Kombat X book many years ago, when Injustice and Mortal Kombat X were the first ones to do it. They print their stories, they create a cover for like each story, and what they were doing is they were kind of like presenting the story on your iPad or phone as a half page of comics. So, like, if you read these digitally, you probably only saw these first 2 panels here, and then you'd swipe or whatever, and then you'd see the next 2 if you weren't reading in, like, guided view or something on Comixology, right? So, as we flip through the book, and you notice that every single page is pretty much divided in half, that is the reason why. It's the same with the Injustice books. If you go back and look at Injustice, all 5 years of that, same thing. They're, like, divided in half. I don't know if that'll bother me reading it. Honestly, I've only ever read Injustice digitally on my iPad because I bought them every single week when it came out. This one I bought not every single week, but I bought them in spurts. But so I've never actually read a digital first comic book in like real format. So I don't know if this like half split on every page is gonna bother me. It shouldn't. Theoretically, it shouldn't. But I mean, some of them are a little more giving than others. Like, this is some Renato Geddes art here. Haven't seen him in a long time, right? Like, you haven't seen him do much of anything. Last time I remember seeing him, like, significantly when they were really pushing him was when he was doing the James Robinson Action Comics stuff years ago. But yeah. So every single page is kind of divided up here. Alright, so another weird thing, too, is that they didn't do covers for every single issue. So this is the cover to what they call issue 3, World's End number 3, and it's got a wonderful artist by Carmine Giandomenico. He did a lot of stuff with Flash, with Josh Williamson. Phenomenal artist, not complaining. But yeah, this is the same panel as what's on the first page as the cover. But you do get 2 covers for the first 2 issues. We saw Ben Oliver's. Here's another one. That's the one that's on the hardback, Francesco Mattina. who did all the original covers for the original series. So I don't know if this was like a variant that they never published or what. So it's kind of weird. And also too, like all of these pages, you know, number 1 and to number 2, this is only 10 like comic book pages. If you count out the halves, right, it amounts to 20, which is typically what a digital issue of the Hope at World's End storyline would. Now, I know when they were reading Injustice, and this may have changed, so this isn't a gripe, I'm just stating what's different. Injustice, you would have the same cover on the digital version with just a different week. So it would have like this, and say week 1, week 2, week 3, and so that would tell you, all right, this is probably a third of a real issue of a comic book, but, you know, Tom Taylor, who was writing Injustice at the time, structured it in a way that you got a good chunk of story in those, you know, the 10 pages or whatever. So here, you still get a good story, and they're still structured a little bit short. That's not a complaint. But you get past number 3 here, and you get into this one. So this is Hope at World's End number 4, and as I was flipping through it, the artists change. Even though it's a complete story, it's like 40 pages here, or 40 like real comic book pages, so 80 halves. And then you get to the next cover, way down the line, 40 pages down the line, and it went from like Hope at World's End number 4 to Hope at World's End number 8 or something like that. Yeah, here you go, Hope at World's End number 8, and now you're in Carl Mostert land. And again, this cover from a panel in the book, not necessarily like a nice cover. So I don't know exactly why all that changed in the book. It's just weird going from these beautiful covers every 10 pages to you know, a panel as a cover, and then this long 40-page story with a couple different artists in here doing different chapters. You know, no complaints there. And then you get this other one, a short story, and I think there was another like 40 or 30-page story in the back as it wrapped up. Yeah, this one, number 13, is the last one. But the one before this, like, I think it goes from chapter 11, and then the next cover you see that they call out is here at number 13. So yeah, here's number 13, and this is the cover to 13 that they present here, but I don't know if this was the digital cover, but it's certainly just a portion of this panel. So it's about a quarter of a page that they blew up as the cover. So yeah, I think they lost their covers once in a while. Maybe they cheaped out on paying the cover artists and stuff, or they ran out of spares. You know, the Ben Oliver one, like this one certainly I could see as a variant cover for the original series, because that's what most of them were, is a bunch of heroes zombified and stuff like that. You know, I got the Superman cover, the Batman was the regular edition, this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive. But yeah, so anyway, so overall, I do like the book. I do like this story. I thought it was fun to revisit this world. So basically, you're going, okay, Brent, this is the fourth book, fourth hardcover in the DCEASED line. Where does this take place? Well, this really takes place inside the events of the original DCEASED miniseries. You have Superman is still around. He's not a zombie. You know, he's not Jonathan Kent. He's Clark Kent. Jonathan Kent, Damian, and Cassie grow up to be the Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman in Dead Planet. So this is in the future, so it's before this. And then it also happens kind of maybe simultaneously of some of the stuff that happens in Unkillables, but really it's, you know, it's all taking place at the same time as the regular DCEASED series. So I would call this like, you know, side stories or a bigger exploration of what was happening in the world during the events of DCEASED. Like this certainly has a main plot and stuff, and maybe these were just ideas left on the cutting room floor. We didn't have time. You know, this story by Carl Mostert, who does the art here on Unkillables, that's why he's so recognizable. I just read his stuff. It's a fun little crypto superdog story. It's kind of short, but it's fun. And then you got Daniele Di Niccolo doing the cover here, really, but again, this is probably from a panel inside, because I believe it's the same artist doing the inside here. But what's nice about this book, though, is that you do see stuff that was like, you know, when you're reading Dead Planet, and you're like, when did Cassie and Damian and John become so close friends? Well, it kind of happens here in this book, inside Hope at World's End. So if there was something that this book does a really good job of, it does a really good job of establishing the relationships and the bond that you kind of just jumped into during Dead Planet. So that's why I would recommend reading this book. And again, even though there's not like a continuous artist and stuff, the way that there is in Dead Planet, Unkillables in the original series, the art in here, I do think it's good at times. I do think it's solid at other times. But mainly I think that's because there are other artists in here whose name I have not seen before, whose work I have not seen before, like this artist right here, John Somariva, I'm sorry. I wasn't beating up on your cover, not really a cover, but whatever. I think it's a solid artist. Like, there's nothing to complain about in here. It's just stylistically, when you compare it to Renato Geddes in the very beginning, doesn't really gel, right? It does kind of gel with Carmen Di Giandomenico a little bit, but again, they're still, not quite the same. This is a little more animated, a little more cartoony, I would call it, whereas I would call Domenico stylized and Renato Geddes realistic, right? So I think the varying art styles don't give it a cohesive look, but again, that doesn't really matter, I think, because there's not really a cohesive story. It's just a bunch of like side stories that flesh out events that happened in the original DCeased. Like here, you have Cyborg and everybody evacuating into Poison Ivy's kind of thing in the middle of Gotham City. You have the Pied Piper, and these events take place during the original DCeased miniseries. What's also cool about this is that it's Tom Taylor putting some of his other characters inside this world. So like these two characters right here, I don't know if her name is Blink, and then this bird character over here, Airy. They were introduced, I believe, in the 11-issue Suicide Squad he did with Bruno Redondo, which is fantastic. If you have not read that, definitely check that out and pick it up. But then, since they're introduced in the main DC universe, he puts them in here at about the same time as they're first appearing when that series was coming out. So it creates a little fun thing. It's like, oh yeah, here's new DC characters inside the DC universe. Even though this is kind of like, I would call the original DCeased like almost a pre-New 52 universe a little bit. That like as far as like the designs and stuff, there was a little bit of 52, but a little bit of classic DCU, like not a whole lot of New 52. I think the only stuff he took from New 52 is maybe like this Green Arrow design. He brought in, there was a whole lot of Damian post 52, New 52, and Jonathan Kent as Superboy, Superman, whatever, is a post New 52 idea. But everything else was kind of kind of Infinite Crisis era DCU. So it's fun to see these newer characters kind of pushed into this era, which I guess is now the post-Rebirth era. It's all kind of confusing. But as far as the extras, there's not a whole lot. It seems like they picked each artist out of the book and said, let's show a black and white page to really show off their art, which is I think is cool. So this is pencils. Maybe it looks like digital pencils because it's kind of loose. And that's definitely not, again, same issue as what we've been paying attention to with John Somariva here. But he's great. I like it. Very animated, very fun. And then a cover rough by Ben Oliver here at the end. So that's it. Not that much to it. Is it essential? I don't think so. I wouldn't call it essential the way I would call Unkillables essential. So like the main DCeased line, you got the first book. You got Dead Planet, which is really the follow-up to the first one. And these Unkillables and Hope at World's End here are the side stories. I would say, and I said this in my review, Unkillables is essential to the story because you find out where Red Hood and Cassandra Cain, where they've been when they pop up in Dead Planet. Hope at World's End, since now it's set like 2 books in the past of the DCeased line, man, that's a mouthful. Not as essential, but it is a fun read, and I think if you really enjoyed all 3 of these other books, then you will enjoy the stories here inside the Hope at World's End hardcover. So it does get my thumbs up recommendation. I do think it's fun. I have read all these digitally, but I'm looking forward to read them again because I just read Unkillables and Dead Planet, and I want more DCeased. So I'm not really sure if this line's going to continue. It seems like, Dead Planet had a definitive ending, I think, and I don't really know how you go on from where this book ends up. And it seems like you've kind of exhausted all of the other stories in Hope at World's End here. So maybe this is the end of the line, but I'll tell you what, this does make a nice kind of picture on your bookshelf with these beautiful foil covers and end cases here, whatever you want to call them, ribbons, I don't know what they're called, spines, there you go. These beautiful foil spines do make a nice picture on your bookshelf. So if you're a completionist, you should probably get this too, because look at that, you just can't resist it, can you? But yeah, that's my overview of DCeased Hope at World's End. I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed reading it the first time, and I can't wait to read it again here all in one sitting in the next week or two. So look out for a review on Hope at World's End coming soon to you on this channel. And check out our other reviews of Dead Planet Unkillables and the original DCeased here as well. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and we will see you guys next time here in the Funny Pages.